man, they couldn't. Jacoby Brissett threw for, I don't know, I think it was 270 against this team. And Jalen Hurts is at 115. 115? 115.
Hour down, hour to play on a day after Eagles lost Football Friday. Yeah, kind of sucks. Sorry, Eagle fans. A better team came to town, and I do want to get into the whole hurry-up offense thing that they ran last night, which I was hoping they did. Didn't quite get the results I was looking for, but at least I like the fact that they did. Here's something that I was planning on talking with you at the top of the show, John, but like often, you and I just start talking and we get off on tangents, which is great too. Here's the bottom line from last night's game, since we're at the start of hour number 2. The Bucs are just a better team.
Yes.
Let's do this methodically and by the book. Who's got the better quarterback? Not close. Who had the better running game? Well, the Eagles didn't run the ball. They never run the ball till there's 5 minutes to go in the game. So no great shock there that Leonard Fournette had a better game than Miles Sanders. And don't give me, Miles was great late. In the last 5 minutes, really nice that you finally get to run the ball. Who had the better offensive line? Wasn't close last night. Tampa, the much superior offensive line. Who's got the better wide receivers? Not even close.
No.
A domination of a matchup. HUrts played well, and he may be an ex-Eagle before the week is out. We acknowledge that. They had not one but 2 guys making plays at the tight end position, and they didn't have the guy named, don't give me, but we didn't have Goddard. Well, they didn't have Gronk.
Yeah.
So
how stinking deep are they at tight end? My Lord. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you compare the 2 rosters offensively, not close. Let's flip it over to the defensive side. How many sacks the Eagles get last night on Brady? You know up to
that's Tom Brady's not taking sacks, so that part is baked in. I don't have an issue with that, but yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's 2-0. It should have been 8-0. As I said, Tampa should have had about 8 sacks, but I hear. But yeah, Tom Brady, I will just say that's a week you go in expecting. You're not going to have a lot of sacks.
Right.
I mean,
you're not going to get a lot of sacks. But part of the fact that the Eagles get run on a weekly basis, even last week, and it helped that Christian McCaffrey wasn't in there. Chuba Hubbard did rush for 100 yards. So the Eagles played probably their best defensive game, certainly since the first week of the season.
Oh, yeah.
With their best defensive game. And they still gave up 100 yards rushing. And last night, Leonard Fournette was the best running back on the field. The whole Leonard can't catch the ball thing.
Yeah,
he got it thrown to him 6 times, and he caught every single one of them.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. But, what can he do?
You don't want to begin to compare the linebackers, even missing one of their better linebackers, Levante David, last night. You don't want to compare the Eagle linebackers to the Buck linebackers, do you?
No. Come on.
So the only thing I will say, and it's because the Bucs are pretty damn beat up, the only position on the field that the Eagles may be comparable to Tampa Bay is in their secondary, the corners and the safeties. Comparable. You even want to give the Eagles a slight advantage there?
Only comparable because they're down 2 starting corners.
Right.
And Richard Sherman got hurt early in the game, and they still couldn't throw the ball. That's the most disappointing part to me of this whole game, Jody. If you want to boil it down, 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL, dead last, Tampa Bay. Now, a lot of that is because teams are always behind against them. A lot of that is because you can't run the football, which we talked about traditionally against them, and you saw Vita Vea and some of the things that he can do. Man, they couldn't. Jacoby Brissett threw for, I don't know, I think it was 270 against this team. And Jalen HUrts is at 115. 115? 115. Now, Devontae Smith didn't have a big game. Okay, obviously. Devontae Smith, by the way, for the first time, also one of the positives, ran a rub route perfectly because they let Devontae Smith do it and not Greg Ward or JJ Arcega-Whiteside. And all of a sudden, the touchdown turns into a touchdown to Zach Ertz because Devontae Smith does it correctly. Now, I know this is a rookie player. I know I'm putting a lot on his plate. But you remember, Jody, you go back when we were talking about the Eagles drafted him, and people are talking about Justin Jefferson's year and 1,400 yards. I'm saying it's got nothing to do with Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith can't, even with an extra game, get near those numbers because this will not be a high volume passing team. This will not be a high volume. They can't get him the football. And this is why I go back to the beginning when we went off on my tangent. You can kill the head coach all you want. I'm going quarterback before I'm going head coach. They can't get the football to receivers in a traditional fashion. Now, if you want to kill Jalen Reagor, kill Jalen Reagor. He stinks. If you want to kill Quez Watkins for not helping Jalen Hurts on that deep throw, kill Quez Watkins. Devontae Smith can play, and they can't get him the football.
Here's where I'll cut Jalen Reagor a little bit more slack. Now, this is truly, as John likes to call it, inside baseball, breaking down the numbers to the next-gen stats. 115 yards passing in the NFL is awful. That's completely
against
hideous.
The worst pass
However,
defense. But can I say before you get to your however, Jody, that's awful against the number 1 ranked pass defense. I just want to add in, that's the number 32 pass defense. Now I want to hear your however.
Here's the however. How many yards penalties on Tampa Bay last night?
140, 95 on
right. 95 on pass interference plays.
Yeah, but those are ticky-tack. I mean,
hold on. Here's where you got to cut Jalen some slack. That's 95 yards he couldn't get. When you take that off his potential plate and it's not yards gained through the air, it's penalty yards, well, then he can't get them. If it drops as an incomplete and on the next play he gets a 20-yard completion, well, then he gets 20 yards. But on those 2 penalties, those yards potentially to him just disappear. You get this every once. Now, usually you don't get 2 pass interference penalties for 90-some-odd yards in a game. That's an anomaly. That doesn't happen often. But that's how you end up getting 115 yards passing, because the Eagles got those yards. You tack those yards on.
Yards are important, Jody. The yards are important, and I got to watch the game again. And I'm kind of flying blind, but watching live, I didn't get the feeling that those 2 passes had a chance to be completed. It was just awful play, awful technique by the Tampa Bay corners. So there's where I go. If you have a good corner on the outside, if you don't have a backup, that it's exact. Now, if it were going to be a completed pass, if it were a legitimate penalty in the fact that, I'm not saying they shouldn't have called him, I'm saying they committed the penalty to stop the completion, I would agree with you. These were not well-thrown balls to a receiver with a chance to catch the football.
I do remember both plays. I would say one was absolutely catchable. That the penalty kept the player from, and you never know, because you can drop the ball.
I trust your judgment.
Catch it, but you don't catch it. One was absolutely catchable. The other one was, probably a real bad defensive decision to.
I got the feeling both were panic sort of situations with a young quarterback who started getting handsy way before he needed to. But again, I'll defer to you because it's tough seeing it live. I didn't get the feeling they were well thrown balls watching them live, and that that's meaningful to me. That's meaningful context. The guy had a poor passing game, just a Poor. You brought up the worst pass, which I agree with you, down the field to Zach Ertz. It was just airmail past him. A worse pass was his one-handed catch when they were doing that little. I mean, he was 2 yards away from him, exaggerating a little bit, and it's so widely inaccurate. Zach Ertz just got to catch it with one hand.
Right.
I mean, 115 yards, add in the 95 if you want, against the worst pass defense in an era where it's so easy to throw the football. Jacoby Brissett's throwing the football. It's got to get better.
It was not a good game. It's you're talking pass foul. It's a tremendous fail by Jalen HUrts, but he had a lot of help from his coach. Although the coach did do something, and again, maybe this is part of the problem, that the coach is just giving a guy who is only in his 10th ever NFL start a little bit too much autonomy. That's my problem. The whole RPO thing, I've been ranting on the RPOs for a couple of weeks now. The fact that his explanation of, run pass actually counts as a run. No, if it's run pass and you pass, it's a pass. It's not, doesn't go down in the run category. I'm sorry, coach, it doesn't work that way. And you're putting a lot on the plate of the quarterback who going into last night had less than 10 starts to make that decision as to whether it is a run or a pass. So you are and I know that you want to play to his strength. Part of the run pass option is that if the pass isn't there, he ends up running, then it does become a run play and it goes down as a run play. You're making him make all those decisions, which is probably putting too much on his plate. And last night I wanted to put even more on his plate because I wanted to see him play with pace a little bit. I wanted to see him go no huddle because I think it's a weapon. I think anytime you can keep the other team from substituting and getting specific guys on the field, you want to do that. But when you do that, you're putting that much more of an onus on the quarterback. And I was excited to see it last night. Between you and I, it didn't really accomplish anything. There were no plays where I said, see, they caught him napping. They got the better of it because Tampa wasn't ready. They couldn't substitute. That's why it didn't work. I don't know that any of that happened last night because I don't know that Jalen HUrts is the guy to take advantage of that at this stage in his career.
And by the way, you can go back to Nick Foles and the Super Bowl season. And next time we have Ryan Paganetti on the show, we can ask him this. And because I know at the time the Eagles were talking about, that's when they first put the RPOs into this offense. Now it's a different offense with a different coach, but that's when they started. And they did it for this reason, Jody, specifically, to simplify things for Nick Foles, who was a veteran quarterback. When you run an RPO offense, because I've heard this, and I'm not attacking you, but people are saying they're putting too much on Jalen Hurts' plate. It's the exact opposite. They're making things as simple as humanly possible.
How is that? How is that possible? If you're making him make the decision on whether to hand the ball off or keep it himself, how is that making it more simplistic?
Because he's told to read one player, and depending on what that player does, he makes the decision. It's actually an easy decision. Now, it's not easy for me. It's not easy for you, but for an athlete, for Tom Brady's got the tough job when you got to process the whole field and when you got to go from progression to progression to progression. RPO offense, college offense, why people use that derisive term at times, it's because it's simple. It's not Bill Walsh's offense. It's not a West Coast offense with the 75 calls and the checks and the 500 pages and the Cheesecake Factory menu. It's simple. It's designed to be simple. You're scaling things back. We're going back to Chip Kelly when everyone said, oh, Chip Kelly's this innovative. No, it was very simple what he was trying to do. What they're trying to do now is very, very simple when you compare it to other NFL traditional offenses, where a lot is placed on the quarterback's plate. It's a simple offense.
All right, and you like to say this, and I'm kind of in place with you on this one. Do you really want this to be your offense?
No.
That's what this comes down to. If you're telling me it's simplistic, I think it's I know it's just one read, but then if you don't get it right, you're screwed. So I'd rather have more options to give a guy a chance to do
But
something
more
else.
options is more complicated.
Complicated, yes, but maybe if you've got more options, you got more of a chance to get it right. You might have more of a chance to get it wrong too, but you might have more of a chance to get it right. I don't want to live
maybe
and
it's
die
time
with an
to
RPO
call
offense.
our friend from formerly from Delaware. He's not in Delaware anymore, but he's waiting to come on the show, Martin Frank. So we got to get to the break. Maybe it's time to call for Joe Flacco if you want to see options.
Let's not get out of control just yet. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are the Mac and Mac guys on Birds 365. Martin Frank is next.